All right, so Romario Pyne is my guest today on midlife migration. But a lot of people don't know you as Romario Pyne. That is the government name. What do most people know you as?
Saka or Saka Don or the Don or you know.
Right, Saka Don. All right, good. All right, so happy to have you. And
Thank you.
we'll be talking about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart, kidney disease. So you can tell me, before we get into the nitty-gritties of that, I'll just briefly tell that my cousin, as I told you before, died from that almost a year ago, last year, November. He had been suffering with end stage renal failure for a few years. And of course, eventually couldn't fight anymore. Body couldn't hold out anymore. So of course, as I said, this is near and dear to my heart. So if I look emotional, then of course you understand.
Definitely do. Definitely.
Right. So to start, we can talk about your life in Jamaica, because you're not in Jamaica right now. So you grew up in Jamaica. Tell us a little bit about your childhood in Jamaica.
Yes. All right. So basically, I was born and raised in civil rights. My childhood, my mother was a teacher, so my childhood education was, strict. I never got a chance to go out and interact as much with the persons, people who went to the football field and whatever. I couldn't do that. My days were spent in the books, getting my education or whatever. Left Civil Heights, moved to Lime Hall, I think 1997, 98, somewhere there, which I, new area, developed new friends and whatever. And my childhood was, as I said, one of education based. I was not somebody who was outgoing. I was never an outgoing child like that. I was education based and indoors, basically. Yeah.
Okay, good. We have that in common, where my mother was also a teacher in Jamaica. So I can relate to that. All right. So growing up now, still further in your education, you did university in Jamaica.
So I went to Money College 2005, 6. I want to say 2005. Well, let's just say 2006 for certain. Started an associate degree in business administration. Got sick. And basically from then I got my first encounter with what sickness was, which was a spinal injury. Had to do major surgery.
Wow. Okay.
Which kind of put me out for, I think I would say, like a year. I went back to school and I finished up what my studies were, and then that was that from then.
Okay, good. All right, so you went through one major illness there, you said, with the spinal injury, but what we're going to talk about more now is the kidney disease. So when did you first start seeing signs of that you were having kidney issues?
Fast forward to 2014, I think. I remember I used to they told me I had blood pressure issues. So think Monday or Wednesday, I think I'll go by the clinic to see a doctor, and I was being treated for hypertension. At one point I was like, no, sir, this can't right, because me young, where me get pressure from?
Right.
So was I, adamant take off the pills? No, I really honestly weren't. I never take the pill them as much because I believe some of the young.
Right.
Following year, so let's put that now to 2015, I started to see signs of my limbs getting swollen. I remember at one point my legs were so stiff that if you cut them probably just explode. They were shiny like me, just lotion, stuff like that. So I kind of, started to look up what caused this. I remember my urine, I started to pass urine, it was foamy. And I was like, wait, something right, we need to find this out. So then my doctor, who was Dr. Auden at the time, I set up an appointment to see him. And when I saw him, he immediately looked at me. He's like, something all right, look right. So he insisted on me going to see a nephrologist in Montego Bay the following, was it Tuesday? Following Tuesday or Thursday. Don't quote me on these days per se,
That's
but I
fine. I
think
understand.
it was a Thursday. So we waited for that time to come and we were to do a blood test. This blood test was not a regular blood test. It was to check something called the creatinine, or it's your levels in
Or
the
something
blood.
like that.
Right,
Level.
right, right. To check your levels in the blood. So when we did that blood test, I had to walk with that blood test to the nephrologist in Montego Bay. When I did so, the Thursday and thing, and he sat us down and he read the results. And I'm telling you, like, I'm remembering vividly now how he read the results, as if someone had no form of remorse, no form of not at all. This man not having up. This man just looked at me straight, my mother, and tell me, say, listen, in a tone like this, well, you have end stage renal disease and you will require dialysis the rest of your life unless it's a transplant. Just like that. And immediately I just it's not even more than me just my brain fly out and gone somewhere. I mean me not recall nothing at all.
Nothing else after that, so yeah.
No. For about 5 minutes, my mother was there. She not saying anything, I'm not saying anything. We just looking. So I remember I started, questioning like, so what does this mean, sir? And he said, I said before, dialysis is whatever. And he began to explain what this dialysis was. And trust me, I didn't retain nothing at all. Coming back to St. Anne, that drive was the most awkward drive I could ever have because I knew my mother was thinking, say all them time, me tell her to take the pill then. I know what happened. I know she was thinking that, but she wasn't going to say it out loud, and we like two strangers going back to the same time.
But you understand when you get a news like that, especially dropped in such a bombshell manner, you're in denial, you're angry, you're, different emotions. But I remember with my cousin too, we went to a doctor in Montego Bay who,
the same doctor. It's the same doctor. Yes, he is.
That said to him,
it is.
You're not going to live. He just told him plain and straight, you're not going to live. And I mean, he lived, this is like 3-4 years almost after he told him that revelation that he's not going to live. But then what we didn't realize was that it was the kidney that was causing the pressure to increase,
to be high. Yes,
and not the other way around, so
definitely.
It was, that sort of thing, right? Definitely. So the emotions were kind of swirling and whatever.
Yeah.
Awkward drive back home. So what next?
Yes. Next was the following day, which is a Friday. No, the date's right now. It's a Friday morning. Because remember, we spoke last night and I was saying to you that my dialysis started on my birthday.
Right.
So this now, accurately now, is going to be July 17th, 2015. We went to the center in Ocherius where we spoke about, and I remember the nurse came out to us, and I was prepared for dialysis, whatever dialysis was at the time. That's what So when I got there, she said to me, we have to put a catheter in, and we need to do this, and mark you. The doctor did tell us all of these things and for preparation. So we came back thinking it's just something we're going to do it now.
Right.
I remember my mother got on her phone immediately and had to order a catheter for $15,000 at a time. And we ordered one, and I was admitted in the hospital. And it was put in the same night, the same Friday night. I remember putting it in. Something I can never forget. They were in my neck. I was awake right there doing a little work, whatever. I hear them mumble and all them something there and whatever. The following day, the Saturday morning, I remember birthday. You're like, wait, no, sir, this cannot real. This is not real, because here is supposed to be happy birthday to you, but
Right.
This coming like sad birthday because here I am, my first treatment. And I remember going in and, you know, they were so nice, you know, Mr. Pyne, I say, you know, it's my birthday and they happy birthday, blah. And I slept out the 4 hours. I slept the 4 hours out. I never knew what to expect. And so I slept everything out.
Right. So you're a catheter because I know they have different modes of getting you dialysis because you have to be hooked up to a machine where your blood is pretty much rotated and cleansed and so on, and then goes back into your body. For people who may not know the process. So you got one in your neck. So it was a surgery that had to be done. You were awake during that?
Yes. Finding out now in America here that that process is done when you're knocked out completely. You're not aware of what was done. I was sedated, whatever they said they were sedated, and I was stuck in the neck 3 times with whatever sedation they use here. And you could feel, first of all, the needle in that package is about 8 inches, 9 inches, because it has to penetrate your, the artery and go down and whatever. It's a process. But I was awake for everything, and I remember I had 2 doctor friends. They were twins. One was rubbing my head, and one was holding my hand. And I remember those 2 girls so vividly because they helped me through the process of keeping calm with this whole thing. So the catheter was placed there was a temporary move.
Right.
It was a temporary move. In a long term would have been a fistula, which I have now.
Right. Okay. All right. So the fistula would have probably been more convenient. Is yours in your
all right, so I want to show it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's swollen because that's where they stick every day. But this right here was another issue. So first issue, back issue. Second issue, kidney issue. When this was done, fistula was done, a team from the US came to Jamaica for 2 days. They were doing it Thursday and Friday, putting in fistulas. I was one of the first persons that Friday morning to get mine done. I remember 3 or 4 of us going in the operating room at the same time, and they were doing the fistulas and whatever. But for some reason, it didn't feel right. It didn't feel right. Something was not right. They stitched me up. They said, go home, take some Pylors, you'll be okay. Fast forward a few weeks later, I would say, a massive infection in the hand. My left breast was swollen, probably 1 double D size. That was infected with pus and all them something there. That was what is inside. It was very painful. It was very red. It was stiff. Everything in one. It was, trust me, horrible. We had to cut that out. That was a process again for healing, and every day they might change bandage and me I cry, and people are saying big boy at a ball on the water hospital, but trust me, it was a lot.
People don't understand because the same, I'm gonna, from time to time compare my cousin because he initially got a fistula, right? He got a temporary one first, and they had to do a couple of times, so he had a couple of scars. Then he got a fistula by one of those same teams that you're talking about. The commissioners that came. The fistula was fine for a while. All of a sudden, there was an incident with it. It just, and it's like clogged up his arteries or his veins, whatever. His hand. You remember Popeye?
I had the same hand. Well, you see, I'm a rush, with me understand.
No, I'm not rushing, but I'm saying people don't understand because when they're telling you, asking you, why are you crying? People don't understand.
They don't know.
To which people with kidney disease suffer at every single stage.
Yeah. And I said to you last night, I, for one, went through every single thing what was bad with kidney problem.
Yeah.
Me go through it. Because at one point, the hand, I told you last night, I said the hand swelled up that much that it blocked. First of all, out of about the 20 of us who did the fistula, probably 3 of us, one was working. Everybody else was shut down and stopped work. You know, it's a procedure where it takes time, and they were on a time period because they have to left from center and got told by 3 o'clock. So they have to they might rush out of this thing and I do this thing I free. So as you said with your cousin and whatever, I remember when my mother, we were at dialysis one day, professor said to us, you know, my hand was clotted. Professor said, come, you have to go to Kingston now. No, 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 emergency. And I was sent to Kingston immediately, and we went there. And you know, being from the country, we don't really know much about the town thing, so we kind of, you know, ask questions here and there and whatever. Long and short of it, I got admitted around midday. Never got to bed till 4 a.m. in the morning. I was sleeping. I was leaned up on the wall. My head catch up on the wall, so with 2 shirts or whatever, sleeping. My mother was right there. She never leave me until I got to bed, and I had to insist on her going. So, Mommy, go on now, please do. They have a bed. Please go on back a sentence. She go back, you know. Go on back because, you know, by the time I go upstairs, I go sleep. Remember she, you know, as the light the next morning by 7:30, my mother was outside waiting for the water to open so we could have get my breakfast. So I could have get whatever. My mother, I must say, I speak highly of her because she never showed a sign of weakness. She never showed a sign of, boy, I would hear her at night sometime. I pray and whatever. I know, I say, boy, she got through it, but she never show it to me physically, and I must commend her for that. I was my little sister also.
You too. She was strong for you. You
yes.
have got mommy, man. Yeah.
Yes, my little sister also. Her birthday is coming up Monday, and she knows how highly I think of her, because even at that young stage, from say sis, even if she mumble, she gonna bring it come or whatever. So I must be thankful for that. But you know, going through even Kingston with the whole, you know, health issue and whatever, I realized that it was just this much and no more. At some point, my mind was made up for whatever might have happened, because I saw people passing every day, dying in front of me, dying around me. So I figured more or less at some point in time, sooner rather than later, I would die too, because my blood count, for those who know me, I'm a very tall guy, blood count less than 5, 4.5, and my blood count can't pass 5 and all these things. So, you know, you started to think of, you know, people accepting that you're gonna die soon. I started to think that way. I did.
Yeah, because it would definitely have that effect on you, people around you dying with the same issue. And there's also another aspect that he brought out, so that it also affects you in another way, in that you're always sick. So even though you have a degree, you have not, or were not able to use it to the fullest extent because you're always sick.
Right, you're always sick. Yeah, true.
Yeah, so there's physical suffering, there is mental, there is emotional, and people I'm glad we're talking about this, because the word really needs to go out, and more attention and more access to help
needs to be given.
Be given to
I think also I might interject that, you know, family members and persons who are close to you, they are affected too, in one of the biggest ways, because, you know, at some point, and I know now that I'm here in the States and married and whatever, I sit and think that, you know, sometimes your situation, even though somebody promises to be there for you, can be a bit too much. You know, it can be, and I really want to emphasize the fact that these are the persons I would want to get more understanding and help when it comes down to this thing, because not everybody cut out for this, you know.
It's true.
Not everybody cut out for it. I feel as if, you know, I told you that a little boy gave me the strength that I have today, can face any adversities without even worrying. This little kid was around 6 or 7 years old at the time doing dialysis at UA. And when he come in, this is like a bright spark, and he come in and he ding on everybody's face and did what he had to do, and, you know, I said, but me, I worry myself, like me, I worry myself, and whatever the case may be. And from that time till now, I can say I've conquered it mentally, to be as strong as I can, even when people around me are weakening out or whatever. Not me. Not me at all.
That's so good. All right, so let us not forget to mention the cost it is to do the dialysis
Okay.
in Jamaica, because at the time you said you were paying how much and how many sessions were you required to do?
All right. 9,500 was what we were paying. Requirement was 9,500, yes. Requirement was 3 times a week, but at the time, we had to do 2 times a week. Now, I'm going to try to explain it as fast as possible. People don't understand. This is an issue that you have with your kidneys, where for some people, you can't pass urine. If you can't pass urine, certain toxins and stuff in your body don't come out until you can do dialysis. No, if you don't pee, if you pee every day, you don't get that treat. You don't feel that type of way. When we don't pee every day, you feel that. You taste it. You taste the toxins in your. You taste everything in your body. You taste like your bite one rusty nail and it just can't come out of your mouth. So I would go on a Monday, and Monday mornings and whatever going, and I would go back to the Friday. So let's say Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Sometimes you have to squeeze in an extra day in the week because we can't manage. And if me not squeeze it in by Saturday night, me in the hospital. Me dey on oxygen. It was a routine for me. Like every Saturday night, because remember now you're restricted to drink fluid and whatever, and Jamaica hot in the summertime, and you have to drink half of one chubby bottle of water and all them because something if you try. So it was a whole lot to me,
Right. Let
It
me
was a whole lot to
put
me.
that into perspective for some people who may not understand exactly. So approximately 100 US at the time, and probably round about the same now. It's probably 13,000 Jamaica now, which would still be about 100.
About the same 100, yeah.
Right. And you have to be careful how much liquid you take in because your body does filter it out and flush out the liquid. So when you get a chubby bottle, that's like a very small.
That's a small water bottle here for like the pure
water bottle. Right, yeah. And it's a half of that.
Half of that.
And in Jamaica's tropical heat, sometimes that's just not enough. But you have to be careful because you don't want to get too much fluid in that is not gonna filter out by the kidneys. So it's really an uncomfortable situation. And for 100 US, 2 or 3 times per week.
Plus food, plus gas money.
And at times,
you
need something to increase your blood count or your iron levels. So it's
you have to pay for
that. Minimum of 100 US.
Yes.
At least 2 times per week.
2 times per week, at least.
Yes.
So yeah, that's that.
Right. Tell me now about some of the how you felt in terms of what systems were affected in your body. Like what were some of the.
All right. So as I said to you before, first thing that was really affected was your breathing. Your breathing was affected because one, your lack of blood. So your iron level low. When your iron is low, anemic. When people can't breathe, you can't sleep. So much things, exhaustion is something that comes on without even doing anything at all. You feel exhausted. So I remember that was the first thing. I remember sleeping was a dream of mine that I would love to have and could not get because I was not able to lay down. I could not lay down flat on my side in any way or form because you'd hear the fluid moving in your body and shortness of breath would take effect immediately. You feel like you're choked. So those were the 2 things. As I said before, your urine stopped. My urine stopped after a while. I had no output of urine. It was just everything kind of just go sideways. You really can't pinpoint one specific thing I say, boy, everything at the point seemed like it avail, it doesn't go bad. You know, at one point, the only thing I could eat, not a promo now, please do not think this is a promo for anybody.
No, you don't have to tell the brand, but just tell what it is.
Patty.
Yes.
That's the only thing I could eat, patty. Nothing else.
I need no marketing, so that's okay. Yes.
No, that's all I could. Mommy could buy 6 patty for the day. Eat that. I can't eat food. I don't want no food. I don't have a taste for the food. But I eat the patty. So you know, your appetite changed. You start to lose weight, and it's a whole lot. As I said before, the taste in your mouth, shortness of breath, fatigue, always nauseated. Every one heap of something. Just a whole heap of thing one time. Whole heap of thing one time.
Yeah, I remember my cousin's heart was eventually so down. Some nights he'd have some terrible chest pains. He couldn't sleep either. Couldn't sleep. All right, but people need to understand too. The reason we're doing this is because at the end you can make your appeal, but a general or average citizen, you can see the issues financially that someone would have to come up with 100 US 2 times per week, every single week. There's emotional stress. Your family is there. Sometimes the family has to pitch in. What if the family doesn't have it financially either? And public hospitals, a lot of public hospitals do not have the facilities to get this done. They don't have that.
Yes.
There are private centers in a lot of cases.
Yes.
Right? So financial strain is definitely one, emotional strain and others. All right. So you decided now a few years ago that you have to make a change. So that is when you decided to move overseas. What exactly prompted that move?
All right. So what prompted that move? I remember first brought my mother and I into his office, and he was, talking to us. I said, "Listen, I feel like it's best if you have family abroad. I feel like it's best for you to, have him go over and seek help." We did have family here, and so the idea was then prompted by him to make a transition. Also, doctors were telling me, best thing to do, go on. Friends were saying it to me, Saka, go on, you need to go. I remember before I left Jamaica, they did a concert for me in my favor. The Pastor Oliphant Adventist, and they did a big concert for me in my favor done by Marcus. It was called Save a Youth Foundation, but it was all for Saka. And I honestly, that night, I couldn't even breathe the night, I may tell myself, say, listen to me, I'm going to go. I have to go. My cousin Arnold Kelly, who's a radio host also, he emceed the program. David Price, one of the top MCs also. A lot of people, I had a lot of people coming down. Shahaya from Mandeville, a lot of groups singing all in aid of me.
Good.
We made some money that night, and the money was presented to my mother and I for us to seek help. So with that being said, a few weeks later, we decided that we're going to come to New York. We had family here. Somebody told me of something that they tried when they came here. Hence, I had a bit of had an idea of something that I wanted to do when I came here. So we made that transition to come to New York.
Right. Okay. All right. So compared to the service and treatment you got here, what would you describe?
Coming. All right. So treatment. I'll just say this real quick. When I came here and I got into the system in the hospital, the first night after I was admitted and whatever, I remember they came for me dialysis early morning, early, Mr. Pyne dialysis time. And me stop and me pause and me say to myself, wait, what? So me say, to the porter guy, I say, hey, listen to me. Me nah no money, you know. If you do no dialysis, no. So we say, come man, come man. And the nurse came out and the nurse said to me, go, don't worry about that, go. And I never understood because I felt as if because me not have no papers, basically, that they're not gonna look at me like, oh, and call police and feel that, you understand? But the best treatment I've received when it came on the healthcare, not bashing Jamaica in any form or way, but I have to be big up New York, per se, with the best treatment I got as it came on to dialysis and healthcare. I have to say I got it here. First world countries with healthcare is no joke, really and truly. I must say that it is quite superior to what we are used to back home. I was treated very well. I was treated, with respect. I was not looked down on in any way. I was, I just felt good, getting my treatment as opposed to Jamaica. If them see your face too often, sometimes them say, making us dead and done, because you just keep coming back, and whatever. And sometimes you got that. Not to say that they are not good. Trust me, they are good. On the ward, I remember the overflow ward in Jamaica, down at St. Center.
Yeah.
Always my ward, and those nurses always.
I can tell you that. So yes, I agree with
that.
Yes,
Love all those nurses, and they know me. Most of them are not there anymore, migrated to the States and whatever. But a few nurses, I can tell you.
Yeah.
Devoted to their work and, very friendly and whatever. But the comparison, first world with a third world country, there's no real comparison there, as far as vast superiority here, as opposed to there. So, yeah.
Right, because as we're saying, we're not bashing, but we have to compare.
No, we have to be real.
Both. So sometimes you're saying you get the feeling in Jamaica that if you don't have the money, then you're not going to be treated. You're not going to be treated medically, and you're not going to be treated well in terms of service, customer service. They're not going to be friendly. Right, so.
Definitely.
Yeah, so we definitely have to compare and contrast that as well. Yeah. So no, your treatment still involves dialysis and what else?
All right. So now treatment is 4 times a week, 16 and a half hours on the machine. So that's first session Monday, 4.5. Second session Wednesday, 4.5. That's 9. Third session tomorrow morning at 4 a.m. I'll be getting up to go out. That is 4.5 to 12.5. And then on Saturdays, I do what is called ultrafiltration, which is removal of any extra fluid that's in the system. And that can run from a 3.5 session to 4-hour session. So that's the 16.5 hours, basically, treatment, maximum treatment for the week. Yeah.
Okay. And how is that being paid for?
Well, before I got married and whatever and got myself naturalized, I was offered it's called emergency Medicaid, which is used for persons who are, here, documented or not. Once you go into any hospital or whatever, it's used for hospital purposes. You can go to the dentist, and anything has to do with health, up to transportation, it pays for. So basically, that was something I got when I came.
Okay.
And I was using that up to probably a year ago when I got my Medicaid, my Medicare now, and switched over to a different thing.
Okay, I understand. All right. So how are you feeling generally now, and how the support you
compared
have
to then?
Family, your wife, talk about that.
All right. Support, I must say, I'm gonna be honest with you, and my support system is in Jamaica. My peeps who have seen me through the worst of times and whatever are back home. I've gathered friends here who are supportive also. I met a guy, through friends, and trust me, this brethren, we just come out the road a while ago. This brethren take me up like him brother, and like there's nothing at all. Let me say, bro, he's willing to help, he's willing to support, you know. So I have support here. My family is here, support is here, but I don't feel in tune as much to them as the ones back home.
Okay.
Because they have seen who's here, have seen the outcome of what happened back in Jamaica. If that comes into perspective, and if you can understand what I'm saying.
And those
back home
from the early stages, what you
them see it, them know it.
Right.
And the sad part is that they haven't gotten to see the progress yet physically, because I haven't been back. I haven't been back since I was to go back right before Corona started. And as Corona started and spoil everything, I was going on the 9th of March, and Corona started at the same time and spoil everything. So they haven't seen the physical improvements that I have made,
right. Right.
So that is something I do have, and big up to my wife and a big up to other persons. I know, they try their best to support in all the ways they can, but I honestly have to give shout outs to those who are back home, who have known when Saka was high up, healthy, know when Saka get down in the hole, and I take time climb back up until him reach him there right now. So those are the persons who I say the support system that I really miss is back in Jamaica.
Yeah. I remember recently you mentioned to me that we saw some, and I saw it too, where the former Prime Minister of Jamaica, Edward Seaga, his son,
yes,
a kidney, it's out in the newspapers. What are your thoughts on that?
All right. So let's just be real for a second. He did it because I'm last name. Him Seaga, and his appeal can be heard or will be heard. I spoke to you last night about it. Say people hear him appeal because former Prime Minister's son, Ray. However, I believe that the same way his appeal should be heard, other persons' appeal in Jamaica should be heard also. For them more louder than female. People there in Jamaica are suffer for years, and don't get no farmer help, much less to get a kidney,
Yeah, case in point.
Nah, bash it, but I feel as if sometimes you have to do this thing discreetly, because then you make people look at you like you are like we're obligated to give, like you forget it because your name so and so, and that's not how it is. Because I commented on the post actually, and I said I've been waiting 5 years, and I got around 16 or 20 likes with people who know me and whatever. So that says a lot. Those answers says a lot. Don't feel as if you're obligated to get it, bossy. However, I believe there should be a system in Jamaica where organ donations, are something that people should consider, because we have a lot of accidents, we have a lot of people dying, natural causes, whatever, killings, whatever the case may be, and some of these organs can be harvested for to help people. Now, is it something that I would insist on people doing? No, it's a personal choice. If you feel as if you want to do it, I think a system should be in place in Jamaica where you can actually say, hey, when I die, or if I die, or whatever happens to me, I would like to donate my organs to science, or whatever the case is. Simple as that.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Understand. Yeah, I was saying case in point where financial assistance and any kind of assistance was concerned with my cousin. There were the Ministry of Health and another private institution. They said they were assisting people who could not find the money to do the dialysis. We wrote several letters. We got letters from the dialysis center to take there. They told us drive with him personally. That way they would at least see that he needs it. We drive to Kingston. They say he didn't have to come, and then the list is so long, so he will still have to wait. Eventually, we didn't get anything from the private people. They sent us back to the ministry. Then they said, all right, we just have to wait. Finally, they came through once. And we appreciated it. We got the assistance one time. When that ran out, they said, okay, request again. We requested again. We called. They said, yes, just resend the email. We sent the email, and to this day,
nothing.
No assistance.
I know what we did apply for the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
We got a letter. My mother knows people in high places. We got a letter from the Governor General himself, signed and sealed, because my mother knew him through the church. We had a letter. We were sent to Spanish Town Hospital because they have the biggest dialysis, apart from KPH and UA. They have the biggest center, and is a provided by the government. It's funded by the government.
Right.
So we were sent there, and now I forget, sometimes people don't know how to talk to people. When I sat in front of the guy who was doing the interview for placement and whatever, and he said to me, we started the small talk and whatever, and he said, I want to put your name on the list. So I said to him, I realized my last name was very far. I said to him, sir, how would I get moved up on the list? Because I feel like the letter they have would have strong enough to put me somewhere. Him said, somebody have it dead. Just like that, the man said to me. Somebody have it dead. And me laugh, but it was not a joke laugh. The reality hit me then again, like, seriously, that you just say a while ago, like, full life, I mean, nothing at all to nobody, you just have a dead to move up. And funny story, about a year ago, my mother called me and she laughed. I said, why are you laughing? What's wrong? She said, guess what? I said, Mommy, the sky blue. She said, say, Spanish Town Hospital called me. Say them just get us, you just free a spot for you now.
Can you imagine? But that's how many years after?
About 3 years after. And guess what? My name was 600, I was 600 and something on the list. So what did I say before? People have to do what?
Yeah.
Just imagine. But it's been a lot. And I'm forever grateful for every aspect of life that has come towards me already. And has put me where I'm at today.
Right.
Very grateful.
Oh yes, indeed. So what would be your general appeal now to maybe Jamaican Health Authority? What would you want to say to them?
Trying to do it in the most solemn way possible. Okay, so I would really want to appeal for one, healthcare on a whole. How you deal with healthcare on a whole, not just dialysis, not just, because I feel as if, as I said before, if you don't have the money, you're not getting a treatment. Solicit funds from the corporate Jamaica and whatever to have funds in the system. So if somebody needs to do one like an MRI or something at all, and then they really have it, them not have it dead, or them not have it continue sick because them can't do this and whatever. Have little funds in place to help treat patients. Also have, family therapy, things to help the family cope with these diseases. In America, there are things, so many, you can go, so much avenues. Them even offer it to you if you want counseling, patient and family. I offer these things. I know it's a lot. It's hard down there. I know it's hard and whatever. But healthcare is something that will never go away. It will never go away. You know what I'm saying? It's going to always be one of the priorities of any country. Healthcare. Solicit I really would hope one day that sentence be hospital could get at least 1.5 or probably 1.10 dialysis machines to help the or out of Ochi, which has to facilitate for the most a sentence, if not all a sentence. People has come as far as Trelawney come there, so Come get treatment,
Yeah.
So, just these things, the local government and all these institutions and stuff that can fundraise, whatever can be done to solicit funds for people who need it, not just want it, need it. People who sick and can't find the first dollar to help themselves. Those are the persons where those are the persons that are in need of it. I know one voice can't make a full change, but we can start something. And that's why I said to you, let's talk about this. Let's do this interview. I remember reach out to you and say, no, I do an interview because it starts with one. It starts with one. And big up to those who in Jamaica who are trying to make a difference. Healthcare workers, people who are trying to make a difference. So my heart goes off to you guys. For one who has been in the system, and I said before, I know what it's like, know how hard it is to deal with patients who don't really understand. Me used to have a hospital sometime and I remember one time I got into a fight with a guy down at St. Bay. This guy I cuss off the nurse. I tell the nurse about mother and all them something there. I say, bossy, if you say that one more word, me, you go fight, because you're not going to respect my nurse and don't I say, So, just these things, and hats off the nurses and doctors who are trying. Because what I get to understand is it's financial wise, it's not good being a doctor and nurse in Jamaica. Everybody want to migrate because the money were there. But big up who's staying down there and trying to help. Hats off to you guys.
Yeah. All right. So I thank you.
Checking.
Very interesting. Yes.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. I told you last night, a million thanks to you because, I think these are the things people need to use their platforms for. And not them about music, this and what. Use the platform so people can hear stories. They don't know who's listening.
Yeah.
You don't know. I don't know how far it's going to reach, You don't know how far it's going to reach, Who were here and I said, wait. Really?
Yeah.
So, well, thanks again. Big up to you.
Yes, man.
On the platform, and I hope this platform reach 1 million subs. Not
Yes, man. Definitely. That's the aim.
Yeah, definitely.
So thank you so much, Pyne. Thank you so much. Yes. And I wish you all the best with your treatment, with your family, and just wish you well in general.
Thank you.
Continue to take care.